What is up, YouTube? Another episode of the 5D Spiritual Warrior podcast. What is up, my friends?
What's going on, guys? Was this episode 5 we got today?
This is episode
You
5.
bet.
We're going to be
Episode 5 of the 5D
Yes,
podcast.
sir. 5D. We're going to be talking about breath work, prana, baby, some meditation, all different things. I want to get it started by talking about how breath is life. You know what I'm saying? So you go throughout.
Nah,
your
you know what?
day.
For those who don't know what you're saying, why don't you go in for it, Corey?
All right,
Yeah.
I'm going in for it, right? So you eat, you need to sustain your body. You got to eat, you got to drink water. You have to sustain your body. But the one thing that people don't think about is sustaining their body with is breath, right? Air, getting that oxygen, that O2 in their veins, right? People don't think about what function it holds. You don't go throughout the day just snacking all day. You eat meals, right? You eat meals to sustain yourself. You don't just take a sip of water and then go about your day. You drink a cup of water, right? But no, people don't think about breathing in the same manner, right? They think about breathing more or less as an unconscious action. Like, let's make that conscious because it's important that you get that cellular respiration going and flood your body with oxygen, right? It's important for you. I mean, if you guys want to touch on that too.
Not only is it important, it's the most important thing that anyone could be doing, right? Because think about without the breath, you're dead. Simple as that. Without the breath, you're dead. So why not be conscious of the breath? And once you're conscious of the breath, experience what the breath has to offer, right? So what does the breath have to offer? What the breath has to offer is a whole fuck ton of things, right? Being conscious of breath helps with boosting your positivity, helps raise your vibration. It helps boost confidence, boost your immune system, right? Does all this shit, but like, why does it do these things? So like, think about it logically, right? You breathe, the more you breathe, the more blood pumping through your body, the more blood to your heart, the more healthy you're going to be, right?
The more healthy you're going to be, the more present you're going to be too, because bringing that conscious awareness of breath brings you into that present moment. I know we've talked about the present moment before in other podcasts, but that present moment is like fear doesn't live in it. Guilt doesn't live in it. Shame doesn't live in it. That's just positive. The present moment is, right? And that breath brings you rooted to it. And that's where creativity lives. That's where confidence lives, right? That's where self-awareness lives.
And the reason it makes you present is because the only thing in all of existence or all reality, literally at the most basic part of existence, is the breath, right? So why does it make us present? It makes us present because that is literally the only thing we could be thinking about. And when you're conscious of it, that's bringing the breath to life rather than just like letting it sit dormant all day long. Like, no one taps into the breath, even though it's the only thing you do like 24/7 throughout your entire life, right? So literally the breathing is literally the only thing we do.
Breathing is the first and last thing you'll ever do. You wake up, you're born in the world, you take your first breath, but when you die, you also take that last breath, right? Now, your whole life is sustained through breath, like your whole entire life.
It's like the metaphor I had, I don't know, like the first or second pod. It's like, think of your body as a car, right? You got the physical vehicle, the body of the car, you got the engine, and you got the mind as the driver, and you got the engine, right? What is the engine in cahoots to everything else, right? The engine is the breath. The breath is the only thing keeping your body alive. The engine is the only thing keeping the car alive, right? Without the engine, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's just bringing an awareness to the breath too, not only through like meditation, but consciously all the time. It helps you stay present, helps you stay aware, more alert. Like I find myself when I'm consciously breathing, I do it frequently now in class, right? Just sitting there and taking a deep breath in, it helps you focus. It helps you be aware of your surroundings, right? And it's also, I have it on here, that it helps improve so many different aspects of yourself, such as it's been proven to help with anger issues, anxiety, pain, depression, grief, trauma, all these different things that negatively affect people and weigh on them. Just being conscious of that breath brings up that subconscious mind and lets you face those things that you wouldn't normally be able to face.
Yeah, man.
It's just gonna give you a moment of clarity too. Like if you're about to do something stupid and right before you catch yourself, you're like, you know what, let me just take a deep breath in, let it all out. It just kind of brings you back, centers you in a little bit. And most people, they just go throughout their whole day, their whole life on autopilot, right? So they're just kind of breathing because they're bots. So they just breathe, whatever, they're not going to focus on it. But when you take that time, and it's just really hard for most people to just kind of sit there and do nothing other than just sit there and breathe and be, just to
Yeah,
be.
no, a lot of people like they're like, oh, why the fuck would you meditate? Why the fuck would you be conscious of your breath? Like you're literally just doing nothing, right? But like you're doing nothing in a physical sense, like you're not moving your body, or maybe you are moving your body. There's a bunch of different ways to meditate, right? But like think of it in the sense that you're crisscross applesauce and you're just being conscious of your breath. A lot of people are like, why would you do that? And it's all because it's in what goes on in your mind is the only thing that's ever going on in real life, right? Because your mind, your thoughts create your reality. So like, oh, why are you gonna do that? Like you're not doing anything. Like, no, I actually am doing a lot more than if I was just going on throughout my day. And that's why like bots or people that are stuck in the matrix or whatever, anyone that is stuck in the matrix is not conscious of their breath, right? Because if they were conscious of their breath, they would realize they have a soul, they have oneness consciousness with everyone else, and that there's no reason to feel the lower levels of the 3D like emotions, right? Because if you're conscious of your breath, that's the only time you have throughout your day to reflect on what's going on in your life, what actions you might have made that were bad or even good. It's the only time to reflect. So when you are conscious of the breath, it gives you the capability to sit back, separate your emotions from your thoughts, and separate your thoughts and emotions from yourself rather, and just get into the awareness that allows you to observe rather than feel, and allows them to control your actions and how you're vibrating throughout your day.
And that breath brings
It's a
about
good
so
point with
many,
the feeling.
yeah, it brings about so many different feelings, right? All different ones, but it'll bring up negative feelings too. But the thing is, if you face those negative feelings with acceptance, which going into more meditation, but that allows them to dissipate and they no longer hold any power over you, right? And there's a whole lot of different ways to breathe and get that stillness. And there's I know personally I use a lot of 5-5-5 breathing, 4-7-8 breathing. I use diaphragmatic breaths a lot frequently. I had a singing class in college, right? And they talked a lot about the diaphragmatic breath and like how you're able to hold a note better if you breathe it into your stomach, right? And that applies
All
to
the way in,
meditating
right?
too.
All the way in.
Yes, exactly. Like if you think about the Buddha, right? You see the Buddha's depicted with that big stomach, right? The Buddha wasn't fat. The reason he's depicted
Oh, I
like that is
never even
because he's
thought about that,
diaphragmatically
bro.
breathing. Yeah.
No,
He,
that's mad. That's mad conscious, bro. I never even thought. I was literally thinking that today because Corey sent me a video of the Tibetan monks, right? And like I was watching that today, and they're all Buddhists, the Buddhist monks rather. And I was thinking like all these dudes are skinny, bro. They're like they don't have any muscular bodies, like they're just like skinny, like dad bod type dudes, but like they're doing like crazy shit all through the power of their breath, right? Like the one dude, for example, literally was so conscious as a young age, he wanted to continue on with his like retreat or like all he wanted to do so to continue his practice and his training was a sign from God or the infinite creator, whatever, right? So he said, give me a sign, right? And across the valley, he saw a rainbow immediately appear outside of a cave that he was looking at, like almost instantaneously, right? So then he was like, oh fuck, like that's the sign. Like some consciousness outside of my physical body like was listening and put that rainbow there,
that's the
right?
flow state, man. Once you get into
That's
that
the
flow state, life acts with you, not against you, right? People find
yeah.
themselves fighting life and getting through life. People look at life like, oh, I'm gonna get through this day. Like, no, you're not gonna get through this day. Like, you're gonna live that day. Like, go ahead and get
Yeah.
happy.
That day
Like,
is going to get through you.
yes,
And yeah,
exactly.
and
Exactly.
like back to that little kid, right? As he observed the rainbow, he was so deep in like meditation, right? He was surrounded by a bunch of nuns, and all the nuns saw the rainbow as well, right? And they were like, I don't know what his name was, but they were like, yo, your foot's sinking into the rock. And he was like, my foot's sinking into the rock. What are you talking about? He literally, quite literally, his body was vibrating so much it made an imprint in the rock.
In the
Now you might
solid
think that
rock. Yes.
you might think that's like fugazi, but like I don't know, I'm a firm believer that like there's stories untold out there that like of a lot of stuff like that going on. Monks vibrating so high that they might possibly be able to levitate off the ground. And even the most high, the yogis, right? The most high monks, right? They don't even they go out in these retreats and like we always say time doesn't exist, right? But like quite literally like time doesn't exist. These yogis go out for years at a time and then they come out of their meditation and people ask them like, oh, what day is it, what year is it, and they literally don't even know. Like they have no sense of time anymore because like they're just infinitely their
They were
consciousness is
infinitely existing, right? When they get into that,
projected yeah,
they get into that
and
deep
that's when
meditation and their physical body is like almost non-existent to them anymore. They're leaving, right? We talk about mind, body, spirit complex, right? You're basically leaving behind that mind body complex and just being spirit when you get
because
into
that's
states
yeah,
of
yo.
meditation like that.
Because that's you projecting your consciousness like out of your third eye, right? We've touched on that before, but they project their consciousness and then they go into infinite awareness, infinite consciousness in time, space rather. And then they come back with these stories where they are in touch with all of their past lives, past and future, right? Like literally infinite like lives that they have lived and like tell stories of them as animals, them as the ocean, then like all these crazy things.
And that goes into reincarnation, right? I mean,
Yes.
generally I think Hinduism, but I know Buddhism believes in the reincarnation cycle and how energy is not created nor destroyed. So therefore they have
Just transfer.
existed forever and they will exist forever. And they just are incarnated into different bodies.
Yeah,
Like you said, they existed as the ocean, then they existed as the fish and the monkeys and the birds, and then finally as a human. They actually can remember those experiences.
yeah, and I'm pulling up a quote right now. Um from Dolores Cannon. I can't find the quote, but she says like uh fuck, I'm looking for it, but that doesn't matter, right? But Dolores Cannon says how you come to this earth, you exist in the third dimension, right? You have the physical, the body, right? But like you're just made up of light energy. Like that's what our bodies are made out of. Our chemical bodies just made up of light, and energy cannot die, right? So the only thing energy can do is be transferred, right? So that's what Dolores Cannon's saying. Like you transfer into another life of existence somewhere infinitely in time and space, and that's why like the yogis are in touch with their past lives and infinite lives, all this stuff